Three reasons why Jodi Arias didn't bring the knife. Number one, she had a gun. Do you really need a knife and a gun to kill someone? I would suggest to you a gun itself is more than sufficient. Number two, is a knife so unique where you can't get it anywhere? They're in every house, just like there was a knife in Travis Alexander's house. Number three, the prosecution talks about the rope and the length. Who cares about the rope and the length? She gave a guesstimate of 20 feet. It could have been 30 feet, could have been 40 feet. It was simply a guess, and Travis Alexander could have needed that knife to cut the rope.
And besides that, Joey, the prosecution has to make up their mind. Did she bring a knife? Did she bring a gun? I mean, to believe their theory in this case, she would have had to have some kind of tactical belt practically. She's got a gun, she's got a knife, she's got a camera. We know from the image in the camera that it corroborates exactly what she said, is that the camera fell and it took an image. So we have 62 seconds in which the rest of the event occurs. We have blood spatter here that corroborates her version of Travis coming out of that closet and charging her when she fires that shot. The reality is, the rope doesn't matter. What's the rope about? She's an admitted liar. Why are we suddenly hanging our hat on some rope? What is this focus on this rope and the length and all the details associated with that? Makes no sense.
At all.
All right, so you've seen the defense. Let's ask them a couple questions. Hey, you know what, Joey Jackson? You're saying the rope is irrelevant, has no relevancy in all of this. Explain to the jury.
Absolutely not. Well, if you look at the prosecution's piece, they're saying the rope was approximately 20 feet, 24 feet. Oh, we're not saying that. Jodi's saying it. Really? Are you putting your credence now in what Jodi tells you? It's a guesstimate. If you guesstimate my distance from you, ladies and gentlemen, what would you say? Maybe juror number 9 would say I'm 25 feet. Maybe juror number 11 would say I'm 40 feet. And maybe juror number 1 would say I'm 15 feet. It was a guess. The length of the rope has no bearing in this case.
And Charles Middlestat, you talked about the crime scene itself. What does the crime scene and the blood spatter, what should that be telling the jury?
Well, it actually tells a very contrary story than what the prosecution has been arguing and so forth. Juror number 1, you have a great point. You're talking about the fact that, perhaps she brought both. But the reality is it simply does not match up with the prosecution's theory in terms of the sequence and things happened. If you look at the crime scene, if you look at the forensic evidence associated with that, it doesn't match up with the sequence in which they're saying. It's clear that the shot happened first. We know from all the way down the hallway that there's all this massive pool of blood, and that's where all the stabbing happened. And that's consistent with her having been chased down that hallway. And so the reality is that Jodi simply, even if this was a forethought, is not going to have a camera in one hand in 1 second and then start stabbing someone who is greatly outsized her, greatly outweighs her. That's simply not realistic. That defies logic, okay? And so the reality is, if she was going to bring a gun, why would she possibly start this attack with a knife? It makes no sense whatsoever.